Hello and welcome back to the Acceleration Netcast. In today's episode, we're going to do something that's actually fairly simple to do, in fact, maybe even better to do in a solution like Power Pivot, but we're going to do it in Power Query because it's going to help you understand the tool a little bit better. And sometimes maybe you actually just don't want to go over to Power Pivot. Say you're already working in Power Query, you'd just rather solve the problem there and solve the problem all with one package. So what we're going to do is we've got this data right here where we've got sales by date. And what we want to do is we want to add a running total, right? So this first item here is going to be this. This one's going to be this plus this. This one's going to be this plus this plus this. A running total. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to close this workbook. So I like to keep my data and my model separate. So I'm going to head up here to the Power Query ribbon pane, and I'm going to get my data from a file. It's going to be from an Excel file. Let's see, and it is right here. Okay. So it's going to go ahead and say, hey, which sheet is the data on? Well, it's in this sheet right here, because there's only one sheet. All right, and so we've got that worksheet we were just looking at. As per usual, the first thing we always do is use first row as headers. We could do the transform. Let's see, where is it? Somewhere around here. Use first row as headers. I'm a big fan these days of right-clicking on this and using the context pop-up to use first row as headers. Okay, notice when you right-click, you get a context menu for the entire table. If you right-click on a column, you get a context menu for columns. So context for an entire table, context for columns. All right, so now we've got, we started here. We've got a data table that looks just about right. Our first real step is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add an index column. So I'm going to, again, right-click there, add index column. We're going to add it from 1. Normally, I prefer to do it from 0, but in this particular case, it's going to make our formulas a little bit easier to write. Okay, so what we're going to do is, just to give you sort of the game plan, is we're going to extract this sales column into a list, and then in this column, we're going to have a function that draws the first n number of items from that list, and it's going to use the index to determine n. So here for the first row, it's going to pull the first item from this list. Here in row 2, it's going to pull the first 2 items, 1, 2 from the list. Here it's going to pull the first 3 items, 1, 2, 3 from the list, and add them together, right? So in the first row, it's going to be the sum of just this. In the second row, it's going to be the sum of these 2. And in the third row, it's going to be the sum of these 3. So a running total. All right, now to do it, we're actually going to have to crack open the advanced editor, but that's pretty cool because we're the cool kids and we like to work in the advanced editor because that's where all the real power is, even though sometimes it's a little bit slower to write. All right, so let's see, hold on one second. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and extract. Well, let's make this a little bit easier. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of semantic sugar here. I'm just going to define a table called start, and it's going to be the same thing as this added index table. So Control V. So start is basically this exact thing. It's just easier for me to write in future formulas or in future definitions. I'm going to hit enter twice. You don't have to do this. I just think it makes the formulas a little bit easier to read. So let's just so you know that I'm not lying, you can see what I'm talking about. If I go ahead and we're gonna pull the start variable from here, it's gonna look. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I need to remove this comma. Done. Okay, so this added index table and the start table are identical. I've just done it because start is easier to write and is a little bit easier to read in formulas. Okay, so now that we've got essentially our starting table, the first thing we're going to do is extract the list of sales. So I'm going to call this list sales. And to get that list, I'm going to reference the start table, this table right here, but I don't want the whole table. If I just wanted the first row, I could do something like this, but I want all the rows, but what I want is I just want this column. So I don't want the little curly braces, I want the square braces. And we're going to get sales. So go get the sales column from the start table, okay? And just again, so you can see where we're going. List sales. Oh, got the comma in the wrong place. There we go. Okay, so I took the start table and I'm going to extract sales into a list. So I've got that list right there. All right, good. Head back to the advanced editor. Okay, so now we're actually the majority of the way there. We've got one final step, and it's the most complicated thing to read, but it's actually not very hard. we're going to add the running total column. So we're going to add RT for running total. So we're going to use the table.addColumn function because we're going to add a column. Okay, great. Well, which table are we going to add it to? Well, you might think, oh, this is the step before, so we want to add it to list sales. No, this is just the list. We want to add it to the start column. That's where we're going to work from. So we're going to go from the start column, which is this table right here. We're going to add a column to it, comma. All right, well, what do you want to call this new column? Let's call it running total. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so now, what's the formula? How are you going to calculate this new column? Well, we're going to use we're going to start with an each, and what an each says is if I reference something like, I don't know, for example, sales. For each row, it's only going to look at that row's sales as opposed to the entire column. Okay, so we've got our each, and so for each row, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to do a list.sum. We're going to sum up some list. Oh, are we going to sum up the entire list sales? Well, no, because the list sales is the whole thing. We only want to, for the first row, sum up the first one, and for the second row, sum up the second one. So we're going to have to nest another function here, which is the list.firstEnd function, which is going to take a list, and now we're going to take our list sales, and for each row, we're going to pull a certain number of items from that list, and we're going to use the index to determine how many we pull. So index. Okay. So for the here for the third row, the list.firstEnd function is going to it's going to go to the list sales, and it's going to pull 3 items from it. So it's going to pull 1, 2, 3. It's going to pull these items. And then the list.sum is going to add them up. So we're going to essentially get a running total. Okay, so again, not so bad. Doop, 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 doop. So now I'm going to, see, I'm going to close that out. And I'm going to close the table add column out, and let's see, we should be good to go. So add RT, click done, and there we go. We've got our running total. If we want to clean things up a little bit, we can now go ahead and remove the index column and go ahead and close and load. And we've got our running total. So hopefully our math lines up here. So we highlight all those, sum 14,309 and 14,309. So we've went ahead and we've added a running total using a couple different list functions, and it was pretty easy. So I do hope that was helpful. Next video we're going to have a similar easy problem, but one that will help you understand Power Query a little bit better. So I hope to see it next time.